Well, thank you all for coming. It's an important announcement we have today. Food access cannot be a luxury in our city. Rather, it must be the fundamental expectation of every resident of the city of Indianapolis, an expectation that leads to healthier and a more prosperous and safer city. That's why we're excited to welcome today's news that Good Food for All, a program under the Partnership for a Healthier America, will award more than $600,000 in funding to our city's Office of Public Health and Safety. Last year, the Good Food for All pilot program saw OPHS, Office of Public Health and Safety, working with community organizations to deliver food boxes and broaden access to fresh produce. But this effort focuses on more than just immediate relief. Our long-term goal is to learn more about larger consumer habits, allowing retailers to adapt the overall food system to maximize access to it. This will be just the latest effort of our city's new division of Community Nutrition and Food Policy within our Office of Public Health and Safety. This program joins other ongoing efforts to relieve the impact of food insecurity in the city of Indianapolis. That includes $6 million in federal ARPA funding directed at growing access to healthy food in our city. Because of programs like the one that we acknowledge and recognize and celebrate today, more students will catch a healthy breakfast before they catch the bus. More parents will bring a nutritious lunch and be able to break to enjoy a nutritious lunch before finishing out a workday. And more families will gather around a nourishing meal at dinner time. Thank you. Additionally, by making a healthy lifestyle more accessible to more residents, we build on the positive momentum that we see reflected in lower unemployment and lower rates of violent crime. This work would not be possible without the collaboration between the city and the community organizations that know their neighborhoods the best. So on behalf of our city, I want to thank the Partnership for a Healthier America. And in that spirit, it's now my pleasure to introduce the Senior Vice President of Partnership for a Healthier America, Paula Reichel. Paula.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure to be here with Mayor Hogsett and the city's Division of Community Nutrition and Food Policy. Again, my name is Paula Reichel. I am the Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Partnership for a Healthier America, or PHA for short. I am also a graduate of Butler University and a former Indy resident, and I'm so thrilled to be back here to announce the continuation of our work building food equity through our Good Food for All program. Good Food for All, which launched in Indy in the summer of 2021, provided more than 1,000 low-income families with more than 800,000 servings of fruits and vegetables over 12 weeks. Working with 13 community partner organizations, we were able to increase the amounts of produce participants ate, which our data shows built lasting healthy habits. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, and other good foods are the building blocks of health. But good food is not always accessible or affordable. And now, with rising inflation, it's even harder for families in Indianapolis to put good, nourishing food on the table. That's why we'll be providing 1,000 families with 5 additional weeks of free produce boxes, followed by 12 weeks of produce discounts, working hand in hand with Safeway Foods. While free food helps create nutrition security, ultimately families of all incomes want to be able to get the food they need from grocery stores. And so we look forward to helping families in Indianapolis meet their needs and applying what we learned to ensure that every family in every zip code has affordable access to healthy and sustainable food. So now I'm happy to introduce our partner, Malele Kennedy, the Director of Indianapolis's Division of Community Nutrition and Food Policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hogsett. Thank you, Paula. We are so excited to be able to have this program come back to Indianapolis. Last summer, we were fortunate to be one of 22 cities that were able to pilot the Good Food for All program, and we heard from our residents loud and clear that this is something that they wanted to continue. We know that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution to how we provide our residents with affordable and culturally relevant foods, but this is a good start to ensuring that we are out in the community and meeting their needs. We look forward to serving over 1,000 families during this period. Last summer, we looked at our numbers, and it showed that we were successful in getting into communities of color with predominantly Black and brown residents being able to receive our Good Food for All produce boxes. We also know that we are reaching our families that are below the poverty line, with 73% of residents participating in the program. We listen to you. We want to continue to hear from you, and we want to be able to know how we can best meet the needs of each individual community. This is why we are looking at multiple approaches to being able to provide affordable access to nutritious foods in different communities. As Paula mentioned, we will be rolling this out through a partnership with our Safeway stores. In addition, we will have other options for families to be able to receive food. We want to continue to ensure that families have transportation to and from our local grocery stores. So our Lyft Grocery Access program will still be available and ensure that residents have that $1 ride to and from the Safeway stores that'll be participating in this program. So we want everyone to stay tuned for more as we roll this program out in the fall. Look forward to being able to do more in our community for our community. Thank you.
We have time for questions about the food program? Or Paula, one or the other. Paula, you referenced building on lessons we learned last year. What did we learn? How did we change the program?
Well, we've learned a lot. We learned, first of all, that our theory of change was correct, that if you provide folks with an abundance of fruits and vegetables over a short period of time, that they develop a habit for those fruits and vegetables, and that they'll continue to purchase or acquire fruits and vegetables and build health for themselves and their families. But we also know it's not just any fruits and vegetables, it's not just any food. Quality is important, and quality matters. And folks commented on that. They were really satisfied with the quality of food, and that helps encourage consumption, quality and variety. Those are the pieces that we think are important to food equity, and that we'll continue to see through working with Indianapolis into the fall.
When did we start out?
We're hoping to start in September. September, yes.
So we're interested in taking part. How do they sign up? How do they get
We will be working through community organizations. I may lean on Malele for that. We'll still be working through some of those community organizations that we engaged in the first round, more than 13 partners, and so they'll have the opportunity to sign up through those organizations, but that list will be made available.
Is that the same with the Lyft Access program? Is that starting also in the fall, or is that something that's already been in effect? Can you talk about that a little bit more?
The Lyft Grocery Access program has been running since 2019. It provides $1 rides for residents to and from local grocery stores. In our first year, it was just specifically for those low access areas within Indianapolis. And then in 2020, with the pandemic, we were able to expand that. So any Marion County resident with the Lyft app can use the code FEEDINDY and get $1 rides to and from the local grocery stores. That they have to be SNAP certified stores in order to qualify, but there's no other registration needed. And once residents apply, that does renew every month.
We can't hear you.
Eligibility, do we need to apply for eligibility for the food box portion of the program, and if so, how?
Last year in our pilot program, we were able to work with our partners to identify residents that were wanting to participate. So we will go back to those participating sites from last summer. Those families took home almost 900,000 boxes of produce over that time, or servings of produce over that time. And so we will work with them first. And then we will also identify new organizations that were not in the pilot program that would like to participate in this second round. And then from that point, as we roll out into both the store and online options, we will be utilizing that base of residents that participated in the program first. And then we will have significant marketing at our Safeway stores to be able to allow residents in those areas to become a part of the program.
So basically, we're reaching out to neighborhood organizations, churches, and whatnot, and be a need in your area. Is that right?
Yes.
That's good. We'll open it up, and I know we're sort of roasting here, so just 3 or so. Another full question. Tiffany, you want to start us off?
There's obviously a lot of violence over the weekend. Labor Day for 4th of July weekend. 20 people shot, 3 homicides. What's your reaction in the community? Was it kind of varied, but it's like all weekend, a lot of violence. What's your reaction?
Well, as mayor, I'm deeply saddened that we endure any kind of weekends. As you said, Jesse, traditionally the 4th of July is a weekend of celebration and family gathering and togetherness, but it also carries with it, when it's hot and people may be celebrating a little bit too much, sometimes that turns into bad incidents, and we had several of them. Now, it bears emphasizing that compared to last year on this date, we still remain approximately 10% fewer criminal homicides. I saw one report that we only had 4 fewer homicides than last year. That is not accurate. On this day last year, we had 121 criminal homicides. Unfortunately, we've experienced 109 criminal homicides. I say unfortunately because any homicide is unfortunate. But the truth is the numbers are going in the right direction. A 10% reduction year over year is not the end. We're not declaring victory, but I do think that there is some hope that we have, that the investments that we are making are working, and we're going to keep our foot on the accelerator. Tomorrow we'll highlight for all of you our grassroots violence reduction funding program that has been overseen by the Central Indiana Community Foundation. We are investing $15 million in that program over the next 3 years. That's 4 times the amount of previous years. We now have a well-staffed group of peacemakers spread out all over the community. We have license plate readers going up in IMPD districts throughout Indianapolis. That's part of our $9 million commitment for better and more effective technology. We continue to hire 200 additional IMPD officers, and I don't need to remind you, we're also activating $30 million for more mental health resources. So, long-winded way of saying, it was a sad weekend. My heart goes out for those families who have been affected here in the city of Indianapolis, as my heart goes out even though I'm not the mayor of Highland Park or Philadelphia, for the tragic weekends that those communities had. But we remain vigilant. And I do remain cautiously optimistic that the investments we have made from January 1 to June 30 and that now into the July 4 weekend are having a discernible and positive impact in lowering the numbers. I'd like to be able to say there were no homicides, but there were fewer homicides in the city of Indianapolis this 4th of July weekend than there were a year ago on this date.
Mayor, IMPD says that so far this year there have been 49 children under the age of 18 who have become victims of non-fatal shootings. And last year they quoted me with 79. Can you talk to those mothers and fathers out there who had to either bury a child or, had to watch them just recover because through no fault of their own?
Yeah, particularly when the victims are so young. It's extraordinarily tragic. The loss of life or the wounding of a child is unacceptable. And that's why we are spending so much time, effort, energy, and money into making Indianapolis as safe a place as it can be. I know you've heard me say this before, but it bears emphasizing. The state of Indiana expressly prohibits local units of government from having any authority to have greater gun safety restrictions, greater common sense gun safety laws on the books than are permitted by state law. It is incredibly frustrating for a mayor like me or mayors throughout Indianapolis to literally have our hands tied, because it's not the General Assembly who gets blamed when those statistics are made ready. I know who gets blamed for it, or largely, it's the mayor. And yet, the General Assembly says no mayor of Indianapolis, no mayor of Bloomington, no mayor of Rushville can have any greater gun safety laws applicable to the city of Indianapolis than what we provide at the Indiana General Assembly. So I'd like to do something about that.
Is there any heightened concern from you of the conversations, like you said, around the country with Park, Philadelphia, Texas, whether it's acting or
I think there's a unanimity among mayors to support what I believe are universally common sense gun safety laws that have been considered by the Congress, but in my estimation don't go far enough to get to do anything that would get the guns out of the hands of people who have no business possessing them. That's the truth. The truth is today there are more guns on the streets of most major cities than there are people in those cities. And that's unacceptable. So I think there's a unanimity of support behind mayors, but we're not the ones with the votes. It's the folks in the United States Congress, and it's the folks right down Market Street in the Indiana General Assembly, who, by the way, are coming together in several short weeks to make some decisions. I'd certainly welcome a conversation at that point in time about gun safety regulations.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, everybody. We can have
Thank
some
you
of the
all.
folks hang out a bit.